Ideation. Sam Adeyemi wrote a book called Ideas Rule the World, and I do believe that you know it is only in this time and age that people can become kings through ideas. See teenagers, you see young people creating wealth that all of their generation put together has never seen, only because of an idea. That's tell you that ideas are powerful. Anyone that has influence in our world has, especially in the business world, have somehow channeled their ideas into a business. That's what has given them the influence they have. And I'm excited to talk to you about ideation. This is Manax Institute of Finance and Industry. This is our second week, and it's only right that we talk about ideas. The process of ideation is finding an idea to execution. But today I will only be introducing the idea of ideation itself. And I'm excited about what I will teach you. I know that a lot of people will say ideas are 10%, um, but then most of the work remains the 90%. While that is true, it is not always true because it's like saying, in fact, the quality of ideas always matters. It's just like saying, just because you get to live 100 years, your first 10 years is not as important as the other 90 years. Most of the times, that first formative years of your life is as important as anything in your subsequent life. And this is what ideation is about. That ideas are the foundations on which we build. But the bigger the building, the more sound the blueprint, whether it's structural or architectural, is. Now you can wing a small building, and see how it works out. But immediately you want to build anything of substantial structure, you need a solid plan. And that's what an idea is. It is the blueprint of which you do a lot more work to bring into life. But it and of itself is ideas are important. And you can equate ideas to spermatozoa. As little as it is key to the formation of the human being. Or one of my favorite metaphor of ideas is that an idea is a seed. And those that are familiar with agriculture, the quality of seed is one of the most important process in the agricultural process. If you get substandard seed, you get a substandard harvest. It does not matter the amount of work you put in. But if you look at it in the larger sense, that agriculture is beyond planting and reaping. There's a business behind it. You know, you might belittle the power of the seed, but it does not change its importance. So this is what an ideation is. It is a seed that you build with. It does not matter what role it plays. What is important that it plays a foundational role. And other practical reasons why ideas are important is one of the number one factors for getting funding is the idea. And no management are important, but it does not matter how qualitative the management or the team is. If there is no solid idea, you struggle to get funding. You know, you might say execution is the bigger work, but it's the quality of the idea that will get you funding, and it's also the quality of the idea that will help you build the thing. If you want to inspire people to come and build with you, you have to think that it is worth it, that the idea is very promising. If you have a shallow idea, raising funds or raising a team is going to be very hard for you. But it doesn't have to be, because I want to share with you the process of finding the right ideas. You know, um, an ideas are plenty, but quality ones are not. I know we're mistaking the fact that we have a lot of ideas for being that the ideas are cheap. Quality ideas are not cheap. People have raised millions of dollars on just ideas. So don't say ideas are cheap. They're not cheap. If you have a cheap idea, it will be cheap. You know. but quality ideas comes in circles. You know, you can train your mind to build ideas, but ideas are important. Now, before I jump into today's lesson, I was reminded, I was forced to reflect on some of the ideas I've had over the years. Like I said, ideas are important. You know, looking back, I think let me share three ideas I've had and the quality of the ideas. Now, one of the things I want to teach you today after sharing my idea is that as much as ideas are important, the strategy that comes with the idea is more important. I see a lot of young people who are afraid of sharing their ideas with you because they will steal it. If it's your idea, it does not matter who competes with you will always win. If the idea comes from you, because this is what I'm going to teach you today, how to make the idea come from you. Let it be your own idea, that you're the only one that can bet it forth. No one can bet that idea because it was conceived by you and can only be brought to life to you. The same way there are certain people that no one could have sang their song. It does not matter even if they give you the lyrics. You couldn't have figured out, you couldn't have sang it the same way they will sing it. This is the power of ideas, that you can make idea your own. That's the idea of finding your own idea, not just some general idea. You can easily steal someone's idea. But how can you make ideas your own in such a way that it does not matter who wants to compete with you? If I write a song and I give you the lyrics, would you figure out my song? No. And that's the power behind ideas. That they are not just ideas, there is something about you that brought it forth. You can see what others cannot see. Ideas are just opportunities, your ability to find right opportunities. But there are some opportunities that are exactly right for you, that no one can compete with you. I started a food business and failed, not because I don't love food, but it's not my own thing in this life. Sometimes I wish I can go into the kitchen and I could, but it was not worth the effort and everything. But another person could have started on the same circumstance and still thrive, because that's the thing that fits into their own personality. And this is what I'm going to teach you today: how to find your idea. It does not matter how quality the idea is. You will go with confidence and speak to investors. Let them go and steal it. They can't execute it the way you can. Imagine that kind of confidence. So let me just share some of the ideas I've had over time. So when I'm telling that, I know how to find good quality ideas, because ideation is also two major things. Ideation is about the opportunity. It's about execution, which we will not talk about today. For those that are part of our business school, we're going to talk about how to execute ideas. But it's also about your ability to judge your idea, the quality of your ideas. There are a lot of people that they are spending a lot of resources and time building ideas that will not go far. How can you train your mind to recognize that this is a good idea and this is not? Like I said, ideas are cheap, but good ideas are not. If I have a good idea, it is possible that you've not put one naira into it, and people will be willing to put their money into your project. That's why I say ideas are not cheap. So I recall some years ago while I was still, I think, in university. Yes, I think it should be either in university or secondary school. I wrote, that was my first and last Totally Illumino application. Totally Illumino application is a grant in Nigeria, a business grant. And the idea I wrote there was, you know, I just sat down to think of, now I'm writing a lot. For those of you that are in our business school, I'll give you models on how to reshape your mind to produce good ideas. But I've seen it over time that I've had it. When I was thinking of an idea, I said I wanted something very unique, something life transforming. And the idea that came to me at that time was I wanted to do a rabbit farm where we turn rabbit meat into bush meat. Now, for those of us that are familiar with the bush meat market, it's a very big market in Africa, and there's danger of for the it's also a danger for the wildlife. I asked myself, what we can provide a clean alternative. Okay, there's danger of disease. I think around that time, cholera, of course, COVID-19, and a lot of things. So there was a lot of people have an appetite for bushmeat. But they are conflicted because wildlife is declining. There's issue of disease. There's the issue of trust. You don't know whether this is dead meat or it was ethically killed or the animal died by itself because people will sell anything. But what if we create a local cus- domesticated market? Rabbits can, the shape, the size, and even the taste of the meat can easily be transformed into dried meat as bush meat. Now, it is not just the idea, it is also that you can make it cheaper. Rabbits can eat anything. Their pregnancy lasts for 30 days. In fact, it was said that if you keep the like equally, if you put the same investment you put into cows, the amount, and if you keep two rabbits and two cows, at the end of the year, you get more meat than the entire cows. So it's volume in a sense that they produce very fast, they grow very fast. You can sell it cheap. It is healthier for older people, especially older people that are moving away from red meat. It is accepted by every religion. It's not haram in Islam, the way they don't eat pork, but it's also white meat, but it's allowed. Now, I was still very young then. We look at the gravity of this idea. It is better than any husbandry idea. No, let's do chicken, let's do this. Rabbit, you can keep rabbit and feed it almost anything. I understand that as late surgery, but you can see that the quality of the idea, the average person, if they're applying, I want to start a poultry. What makes poultry special? You have so much competition. Now, this was one idea, and I want you to be noticing something. I know a lot of people think that a good idea is an idea that there is a market for. That is not true. You know, most of you are not aware of demand and supply. The more there is a demand for a product, the more dangerous that market is. That means there is a lot of competition. That's why sometimes poultry people complain because there are a lot of people selling chicken. They say the higher the demand, the lower the price. It's not the higher the supply. I know a lot of people who say the higher the demand, the higher the supply. That is not true. The higher the demand, the lower the price because there's a lot of because so the higher the supply. Because when everybody is producing the same thing, you start competing on prices. If you want to see how to fail very fast, go and start a pure water business. It's not because people are not buying pure water, but there's so much competition. Now, I'm just sharing some of my past ideas before I jump into the session. I think 2 years ago, I was at a competition pitch and a business idea pitch. And the idea I pitched was something that while in the pitch, see, in the session, I was the only person that was not, the kind of criticized for my idea. There was a lot of excitement for the judges, but I didn't take first, mainly because there was a better idea in our context. Now, the idea that won, now because I'm sharing ideas, you can see the quality of ideas, was a lady. First of all, the fact that she's a lady gives her an edge because in this world, there's a lot of funds that want to promote female entrepreneurs. But the idea was also incredible. What she said was that she grew up in a family where her mom was selling fish in the market and always spoils. So she was looking for a sustainable ways to preserve food. So what she did was that she started by installing solar panels to fridge. That way you don't need light. So that was the one I took first. But even with that idea, there was a lot of criticism, a lot of questions. But my own idea, I believe that if I was in the right place, it might have won. Sorry. My idea was you know how there's an Uber for cars. If you need cars, you can get third parties where they will come. The drivers will use their cars to just use your platform, or Airbnb where people use their houses for strangers, as hotels. My idea was a kitchen where there are a lot of people that know how to cook. I've seen entrepreneurs, a lot of them, they don't have the resources to get their own restaurant and a lot of things. But how about someone can just put yourself in our platform the same way people with cars can register in their platform. Register yourself as a chef or as someone who sells food. Use your kitchen to sell to your neighbors. That means if you are close by, people can buy from you. But sometimes if you overcook, You can always sell to your neighbors. So if you're cooking plenty. Now imagine there is a system. And while I was giving my pitch, you know, I wanted to start with the physical location. That was the restaurant I feel I should have just stuck to the tech idea. So one of the judge said, "Have I heard about cloud kitchen?" Cloud kitchen is now. I did not know about it, but it's an idea that I came up on my own. But he said cloud kitchen is a similar system in India. Now remember, Bolt copied Uber, and to an extent, they found success in Nigeria. Now, imagine someone can pick that same idea and replicate it. Can you see the quality of the idea? It's something that is very scalable. All you need is a tech platform and then good marketing. And you need resources too. That's why we said uh, ideas are 10% of the journey, but it's an important 10%. Now, as an investor, if I come and pitch you this idea and someone came and pitch you an idea for a restaurant, which one are you likely to go for? I A person pitching a restaurant idea will come and say, "Oh, I have an idea." You know, people always eat, but the restaurant business is a tough business. There's this comment, this joke, this phrase that goes on. I said, "If you want to make a million in restaurant business, start with 10 million." That means that if you are the only way you make money for restaurant business is where you are putting more. But look at the idea. Now, this is the tech idea I'm working on right now. It's a fintech. And like those other ones that I abandoned, I think this is going to be my contribution to Nigeria. I'm not just saying sharing my ideas. I want you to learn from the lessons. Now, I'm not afraid of saying sharing my idea here because I've seen someone that is doing something similar, but I knew that they're clueless. What makes my idea different is me, my experience, my strategies. Now, the fintech idea I want to start is an escrow company. I want to be able to connect two strangers and they will do business with confidence without fear. But most of the times, to even do business with someone that you know is hard, talking about someone you do not know. And it's coming from experience. You know, for instance, now I know people that they saw this advertisement of machineries and they sent money for it only to discover that those guys were scammers. Now they were advertising a legitimate machinery, but then their company was a scam. Or one of my clients that invested his life savings of over 30 million into mining. He mined some lithium, sent it to Abuja because some Chinese wanted to buy it. He exchanged the lithium with their agent. Now, this is 3 years after. His money has not been paid. The case is still in court. The people who send the product to are claiming that the product is substandard. That is just gravels. Okay, why is my product is not there? But imagine there was a system where that's what an escrow is because as a lawyer, I've done escrow. Where if someone wants to buy land, they keep the money with me until he finishes the money. Then I do the transfer and the exchange of the documents. Now, imagine there was a system that two people can do business where your money will be hanging in that platform until it has been released. So, for instance, now someone that is buying machinery, if your money is locked, you can't withdraw it until the other person confirms that it has been delivered, or maybe at the delivery, the other person will release it. In the event that there's a dispute, now this is an addition to my own platform. I'm a lawyer too, so there's alternative dispute resolution. We are saying that in case there's a dispute between the two of you, we'll carry the facts and we'll judge your case in 48 hours or a short time. Now, sometimes the problem is not even the failure of the transaction. Sometimes that there is no fast dispute resolution. Now, like I said, ideas are not just the structure, they are also the strategies. Ideas can, but if you have strategic ideas, they are even more important. Now, I'm sharing this idea because I know that my strategies on how to execute it is more important than the idea. The idea itself is quality. So, to start, let me start with this. If you want to learn how to judge an idea, you have to expose yourself to good ideas. Look at history, look at the ideas that have worked. By exposing yourself to these ideas, you build your mind to find similar opportunities. Now, I'm not thinking of any idea that will make me that Every idea I'm thinking about now is how far can it go? My fintech company can easily spread in Nigeria within a year. We can move into other African countries. I'm thinking scale, I'm thinking leverage, ideas, ideas. I think it's Victor, oh, is a French poet, I think. He said, there's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. There is nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. If you want to find good ideas, start with where is the world going to? Ideas don't have to start from the scratch. You can build around the ideas of the time. What are the ideas of the time? Technology, AI, clean energy. In fact, almost every business competition, these companies win. Clean energy, there's this Alibaba competition where the lady won 300,000 in grant. Her business was to food in Africa. They say 30% of our output usually spoils because of it doesn't get to the customer on time or bad processing and stuff like that. She built a business that turns farm produce into fish feed and into fertilizer. Why is it relevant? People are thinking of circular economy. This is what the world is talking about. Think of tech ideas because this is where the world is. Some of the richest companies right now in the world are AI companies because these are ideas of the time. What are other ideas of the time? Now, so that I'm telling you that you don't have to build something from scratch. You can build on what is already there. Blockchain, ideas of the time. Creating platforms where people do business. These are ideas of the time. It's just for you to find your niche. There's usually Temu is very successful, not because the people in Temu sell product themselves, because the ideas of the time is that people are becoming comfortable meeting in the online marketplace. If you are not aware of the general ideas of the time, your ideas will be impoverished. You can't come to me and say, I want to start a taxi business and I need 30 million. Another person is coming with an idea like Uber and he needs the same money as you do. It's not the same quality of idea. You're saying, okay, if you start a taxi, how many taxis can 30 million buy? But if I create a platform where taxi drivers can come, imagine the scale. Ideas of the time. Whatever idea you have, if it does not have the core characteristics of the ideas of the time, it is impoverished. What are the other ideas of the time? Globalization. My idea now, if someone wants to buy something from a Nigerian and is scared, he can easily use my platform, put the money there. If your goods gets delivered, that is, you're not even scared. You can do business with a stranger. We can connect people that have never met together. This is the ideas of the future. Every idea you're building, ask yourself, how does it connect to the ideas of the time? Remember, there's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. It is the time for technology. There's not If you don't put it in your business, you will fail. Your business system will fail. So whatever you're building, ask yourself, what is the ideas of the time? Now, first, to build your idea, find the ideas of the time: blockchain, technology, clean energy, circular economy. Educate yourself on these things and you begin to see opportunities. Remember, I said idea is your ability to find opportunities. And while ideas are cheap, quality ideas are not. Now, first find the ideas of the time. Second is borrow ideas. The quality of your ideas is not necessarily attached to quality, to originality. For instance, now my idea to build a cloud kitchen, even though it is unique, I'm borrowing from the Uber system. Ask yourself, how can I take this system that has worked in this place and apply it to another new place? Look at what I'm saying. Especially in Africa, there are unlimited opportunities because there are a lot of technology that are functioning in other parts of the world that have not found themselves to Africa. If you can be the first to localize global ideas, you will find a lot of success here. For those, just hold on to the end of the meeting. I have something very sweet for you. We are just even just taking the surface. Now, borrowing ideas. Sometimes is how can I take from this place and put it in this place? It can be geographical borrowing, borrow from the Western world. It can be industrial borrowing. Oh, the same way the Ford Motors, one of the reasons why they were so successful is because they borrowed the normal manufacturing system from normal goods. He said produce maybe household appliances, they do it on, the way they do it. How can I apply it to manufacturing cars? He borrowed an idea from one industry to another. And his idea was not necessarily cars, it was cheap production of simple cars. That's why sometimes the strategy around the idea is more important than the ideas. At that time, it was the time where machineries were becoming mainstream. So the technology at that time, the cars are beginning to just come in. But his idea is how can I make cars available to the general public, not just to the few rich? It was already an existing idea, but it was the strategy around his idea that made it special. So, or so borrow from one industry to another industry, borrow from one geography to another geography. In fact, borrow from one field and another field and create a new field. For instance, now biorobotics is a combination of medical knowledge and engineering. Robots are not new, medical solutions are not new. But someone said, how about we combine these two? Guys, are we together? Now, this is one of the takeaways I want you to have. I'll tell you about areas to focus on finding. I'll just give you the general principle of finding great ideas. There's something they call critical assumption. The idea of critical assumption is there are certain assumptions that we make about our ideas that the chance of the idea succeeding is how true and real their idea is in the real world. Now, most people they build ideas, but they don't test their critical assumptions. For instance, now you can have a new product that you're very excited about, and you have a lot of assumptions that come with it. Oh, if people because people like food, it means they will buy from me or they will buy at a certain price. This is a critical assumption. Now, as part of borrowing, you every idea comes with certain assumptions on the nature of the opportunity. You must brutally test those assumptions. Sometimes the idea can be good, but then the assumptions are wrong. So critical assumption theory is if you have an idea, ask yourself what are the major assumptions of my ideas why I think it will work and test it out. Now, this is the most important jump between idea and execution. Before you go full on execution, test your idea. If you think people will buy from you, try it. You'll be shocked. Or people And sometimes our assumption is the you've not estimated the learning curve of your environment. Oh, you say African can easily switch technology. That's a critical assumption. The learning curve in Africa is very hard. They would rather stay in their discomfort than get something better at a high discomfort. Don't assume things. Test every critical because it is critical because that's what the entire idea is founded upon. Are we together? So, in a sense, if you have an idea, for instance, now, yes, it's not just in Africa, globally, but I get you, but critical assumption in Africa. Test it. Each environment is very different. In Africa, adopting technology is very hard. So don't just assume because your solution is superior, people will go for it. Test it. Now, so I've given general principle about um, how to go about innovation. Build on larger ideas of the times that are already successful. Borrow from others, whether it's geographical or industrial. You can borrow from one industry to another industry. Like that's how most of the innovations of the world is happening. And then just on this aside, I told you about critical assumptions. Don't jump into the ideas until you test the critical assumption. Now, another general principle on finding ideas is the blue ocean principle. The blue ocean principle. Now, the blue ocean principle is Blue Ocean is a book and it is widely successful because there's so much value in that book. It is that the writer said that there are two um, types of oceans. There's the red ocean where competition is so much. It is so much that there are sharks there, so they are usually killing each other. That's why the water is red. But blue oceans and unexplored fields. Blue ocean is find opportunities in blue ocean. Live where everybody is trying to compete. And blue ocean is anchored on the idea that on value innovation. Now let me explain the difference between value innovation and just value innovation. Innovation is just value is providing more to the market. So for instance now, so value can just be increasing the quality of your product, and innovation might just be finding new ways to deliver the same service. But the value innovation, which Blue Ocean principle is anchored on, is how can I offer a better service at a cheaper rate? It's a combination of two. Most of the times, thinking of people are thinking, okay, I'll provide more value, but at a more expensive price, or I would be more innovative. But the idea is, how can you provide so much value at a cheaper price that you're no longer in competition with other people in the same business? Do you know that in Africa, there's a lot of opportunity in real estate, but the opportunities, if you enter it, you will fail because you're not bringing value innovation to the field. A value innovator in real estate will say, how can I provide a 50 million three-bedroom flat? Is it possible? Why not? If you can find cheaper materials, some people will take that deal. It's the same idea. In fact, if you want to see how people go out of business very fast, that is why China is exploding. Even though the value of their products are not superior to other places, but they are almost as good, and the price difference is very far. So people will not choose your value if the price difference is not much. Now, value valuation is a very big field. I'm just giving you the crux of the idea that how can I, people are doing the same thing. It's not necessarily new, but how can I provide more for less in such a way that I'm still profitable? So that's that. So look for blue oceans where people are not competing. For instance, now, before now, I think some of the examples we were given, Okay, I think the idea of the blue ocean is something that you need to read about. But let me just give you a gist. Um, Before now, wines are very expensive, and most of them come in different prices, but they are complicated. If you watch Shark Tank, look at the ideas that succeed. Someone started selling the wines in very small bottles. Just in fact, there are some that started selling wine in a glass cup that is sealed. What you need to do is just open it and you have your wine ready. So he's exploring a blue ocean. Why? Because he's exploring a cheap market, a convenient market. You don't have to know so much about wine to enjoy the wine experience. You don't have to spend so much money. Before, the wine niche is just for a certain class of people. But see, there are a lot of underserved market. Just change the packaging. Or what are the other value innovators? Let's say the Ford motor that I just gave an example of. Before then, only rich people had cars and it was so hard to maintain. But Ford came with his value innovation. He said, I'm going to make cars very cheap that even the normal person can buy it. It's not just cheap, it is durable and it's so easy to fix, unlike those other complicated cars. Very soon he was dominating the market. That's why I say the idea of value verification sometimes don't worry about all the noise. But when he started producing his car, he was producing just one color. But it was so much value at a cheaper rate that everybody was on it. So I'll give you um 7 principles on where to find ideas. The first is look for pain or frustration. You know, um, how did my idea come about? I've consulted for so many people that have been cheated that a simple escrow app would have solved all of their problems. It is a pain. Oh, this person did this person cheated me. But but when I say okay, there's already a solution to it, but I'm bringing a new angle, an application, because lawyers can provide that service for 5% of your money. And what if you have an app that can do it for 1%? This time around, you guys can use a third party because the lawyer usually everybody must have their own lawyer. Look for a pain point, point of frustration, and you must ask yourself: is my idea solving any real pain or frustration? Second, look for market inefficiencies where things are not done properly. For instance, in Nigeria, at least until recently, most of this buying of stock have to be done physically, but it's ineffective. Or even buying of land, there's a lot of ineffective systems. Or maybe quite recently, now everybody can buy light meter from their phones. But before then, I remember those days, you have to go to the office every time you want to buy. But do you know that it is private individuals that own some of these applications for buying meters? They are solving marketing efficiencies. Why does someone have to always go to the office? Now, they're not just helping the the individual, they're also saving costs for the company itself. You don't have to hire someone to be selling. Good. So look for market inefficiencies. Third, look for ideas around technological shifts. The world is evolving. Ask yourself, what technology shift is happening? How can I build an idea around here? This idea behind AliExpress, Jumia, Temu. It is that people are now getting more comfortable doing business online or patronizing the online marketplace. There was a technological shift that happened at a particular point. Those people that took advantage of that technological shift are benefiting from it. So find out what are the technological shifts and how can I position myself. Now, fourthly, look for cultural trends. Cultural trends can be based on demographics. For instance, there was this movie. Um, I think is the something- there's this movie about a black American who was trying to go into real estate. I've forgotten the name. Now, at that point, where everybody was looking for houses. Where, while there was racism towards colored professionals, and real estate guys were only selling to white people. The black guy said there's a new market, there's a cultural trend where people of color, professionals, they're looking for high class um, communities where they're even willing to pay more than white people are, because there was not so much access to good properties. Now, he was identifying a cultural trend that professionals want to move into the city, and the people that are already in that market, there were a few and they were willing to pay less. But some people, because they've not been given opportunities, they're willing to pay more. Now, it was a cultural trend because the world was, let's say, racism was breaking down. It was a cultural trend that someone could ride on. You can ask yourself now, what are the other cultural traits in other industries, for instance, now? They're beginning to look into women's market. There is beer for women. Before, beer used to look like a main thing, but they discovered that women wants to feel part of the vibe, and then they started creating a brand for women. It's a cultural trend because women are becoming more mainstream. It is sad that the world has kept them on the margins of society, but right now they are coming to the mainstream and they want to be identified. Look at for cultural trends. Remember, I said ideas are not just products; they can be just a marketing idea, a marketing opportunity. You can already have a business. When I talk about idea, I'm not saying that you have to start something from the scratch. An idea is, from what I'm doing, what other opportunities, quality opportunities can I find from what I'm doing that will make a huge difference to what I'm doing? If you think of ideas as just, it has to be the business itself. You always you limit ideas. Ideas are making kings. A simple idea can change the outlook of your business, the opportunities you have, your money. In fact, what most companies are after in innovation is ideas that can give them an edge. So, especially in marketing, look for cultural trends or underserved segments of the society. For instance, 55% of Nigerians are unbanked, and most of these people are in rural areas. This is an underserved segment. How the reason why money points and and OPay are working is because they understood the problem. They were not threatened by traditional banks. Now, let me go back to cultural trends. Crypto at a point was becoming mainstream. Those people that understand the trend and took advantage of it became millionaires overnight. They had foresight to see this is where it was going to. In fact, at the point where they banned crypto in Nigeria, I truly felt that banks were feeling threatened because people were not keeping money in banks. So they had to find a way of getting people back because there will always be resistance to ideas. But like I said, there's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. Nothing, regulations cannot stop ideas that has come. People, blockchain is an idea that is here to stay. People can fight it, but it's here to stay. So let me give another one. Regulatory or policy change. Gov and governments are making new laws that affect opportunity. For instance, now countries that are putting like deadlines on permanent switch from um, gas cars to electric cars, chances are jobs around mining lithiums or supplying lithiums, or you know accessories that come anyway, clean energy. This is a market that will open because of policy change. Or let's say the government are trying to put tariff on importing certain products. This is a policy change that affects opportunity. So keep your ears open. What are the regulatory changes that are happening, and how can I take advantage of it? And how can I take advantage of it? Now, for those of you that are part of our business school, I'll teach you mental models. Like for instance, the blue ocean idea will go deeper into it. I'll teach you um, models that help you find your idea. Remember, I said in our business school, I'll focus more on finding strategic ideas. That is not necessarily the idea of the business itself, but I want to give you an edge where you can talk about your ideas, but you know something on how to make that idea work that even other person carry that idea to not work. If I tell you now, I've told you my idea, but I've not told you the strategy around it. Strategy itself is an idea. I'm not threatened by if someone tells you that they want to start the same Escrow business, by all means go and do it. But it is born out of my experiences, my exposure to certain opportunities. So this is ideation for you. For those of you that are joining us late, I will advise you watch this video again. There's a lot of solid foundations I put in the early part. Now, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, this is an introductory course to our ideation um, series of classes. If you would like to join us, drop a message. It's a full business school. It is affordable. You don't need a degree to join our business school. You can be a teenager and join our business school. We want to remove the idea that business schools can only happen to elites. We want to make it available to you. You see, that's another blue ocean opportunity. Most MBA education is just it has to be you have to have a degree, you have to be or you have to have a lot of money, or it has to take 2 years. Imagine the value I'm giving people now. I'm giving you a practical idea now. Our business school, you can do it whether you have a degree or not. In fact, sometimes even if you have a degree and you don't have a business related degree, they'll not allow you to do an MBA. Or it's either too expensive. So we are removing the condition of you have to have certain certificate. Expensive, we give scholarships, open our registration for 100,000. That's a bargain compared to most business schools. And our business school lasts for only 3 months. The average business school, on average, is 2 years. Now, not everybody wants to do 2 years because it's not everything about business school they want to know. They want to know the crux of it. You can see I'm giving more value to an underserved market at a cheaper amount. This was an idea. Ideas happen every day in our lives. So this is my invitation to you. If you'd like to join us, let us know. But we'll be having a 1 hour class every Saturday, public lecture. Our private classes will have slides or we use boards, so it's more interactive and it happen Tuesdays and Thursdays in the night and we have pre-recorded class. So even if you're joining us, we make previous recording available to you. Thank you very much for joining us. We do apologize for starting late. I think we're 10 minutes late. We have to set up some things, you know. But I'm glad I joined and I hope that you found value. Go and find your idea. Ideas are everywhere. There's this saying that says a wise man creates more opportunity than he meets. A wise man creates more opportunity than he meets. If you train your mind to find ideas, whatever opportunities you have, you make the most of it and you make more of it. Ideation. So for those of you that will join us in our next class on Tuesday, it's a closed class unless you're registered. We're going to talk about mental models in finding ideas. And then maybe on Tuesday we'll talk about execution of ideas. You see, I gave you just one. That's the critical assumption part. It's a very vital part of ideas that most people do not think that is necessary. You know. So I'll see you in class on Tuesday. Thank you. And for those of you that are not joining our business school, I'll see you next Saturday. Have a good night rest. Bye. Thank you everyone for showing up. Shaku, Nuhu, Raphael, thank you. David joined us and Kingsley too. So I'm glad that you guys joined. These are my guys. They're part of my circle. And I look forward to seeing you subsequently. You have a good night rest. Bye.